A random girl has contacted me saying that my boyfriend of 2+ years violated her. What should I do about this? Original post. I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years. We live together and own a dog together. We love each other very much and get along like gangbusters. We are very intimate, like about 3 to 4 times a week, and my boyfriend has never ever done anything that made me feel even the slightest bit uncomfortable. He is very sweet, very loving man, and he has always stopped immediately during the act whenever I have shown even the slightest sign of discomfort. This past Friday, the two of us were out doing our own things as I went out to a bachelorette party. My boyfriend went to a party on campus at the university he attends. We talked Saturday and he told me the party was fun, but that nothing remarkable happened. Then this afternoon, I received a Facebook message from a girl who I do not know but who attends my boyfriend's school. Her message basically said that my boyfriend got her drunk at a party he attended Friday and that he subsequently violated her. She feels like my boyfriend is dangerous and wants to warn me that he is an unsafe person to be around. I have not replied to the message or asked the girl any questions about her story yet, and I'm not sure if I should or not. I know that I need to talk to my boyfriend about this, but I am not sure how to go about it. I checked his Facebook friends list and they are not friends, and I've never heard her name mentioned before by my boyfriend or any of our mutual friends. I am not sure whether or not I believe this woman, but I don't feel like I can totally dismiss this and forget it ever happened. So help me. How do I ask my boyfriend about this? Should I message her back? And if so, what should I say? What should I do? Now for the top advice before reading the update. You never know what people will do, even people you know very, very well. This girl may be stalk crazy, she may have a legit claim, or she may be manipulating you for some reason. Whatever the case may be, tread lightly. Write her back. Tell her to go to the hospital and get a kit done. She doesn't have to talk to the police, but the hospital will probably send them over. I was a crisis counselor in college for a while, and this is what happens. She can call one of those services and have someone go with her if she wants, but this isn't about her. Either way, she should do this if she's serious, and then tell you about it. Maybe you should arrange to meet her in person, so you can look this girl in the eye while she tells you about this incident with your man. When you're ready to talk to him, you know him at this point. You'll be able to read his face and body language while you hear him speak. Maybe you did this thing or something close to it, or maybe you didn't. You'll know more when you speak to him. Do you trust him to be honest with you, no matter what? You or he should possibly bring this to the proper school authorities as well. Is this girl in a sorority? I don't really know where this kind of thing would be handled. Maybe the police if she's a crazy person, just so it's on record. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. You're going to have to do a lot of trusting your gut on this one, and that's incredibly hard. It might take you a long time to get over this seed of doubt that's been planted. I hope things work out for the better. I'm on board with the idea of telling her to get a kit done as well. I would definitely minimize contact with her though, and certainly don't agree to meet up with her. The best advice I would give otherwise is to seek advice from a professional on how to approach the situation. Collectively, Reddit may be very smart, but you need some pretty specific wisdom to handle the situation well, and are better off seeking it from someone with the proper training. Got her drunk at a party he attended Friday and that he subsequently violated her. Sadly, got her drunk and forced her usually translates as she got drunk, had consensual hookup, and then felt ashamed in the morning. Edit. I will post an update Thursday or Friday depending on when I have time. Thanks everyone. My ex and I divorced 3 years ago. She was cheating, but at this point I don't care about the relationship anymore. The pending lawsuit has nothing to do with her or him, but rather their actions. My ex and I have a son, 13 male, that we split time with 50-50. He's a great kid. That interests have changed a lot to be honest, as I imagine more kids/teenagers tend to do through the years. One thing my son was heavily into at some point was Legos. He uses to play with them all the time, and personally I think they're a great toy for different reasons. I used to love playing them with him, and to this day I still collect boxes that I'll leave unopened as a collection. Well, when my ex and I divorced, she got with someone who loved Legos more, I guess. From what I know, he loves making creations and building the sets in. I don't care. Seems cool. He does one thing I think is very, very weird though. He uses crazy glue, so that the sets can't break or pieces can't be lost. It seems so weird to me. The issue is, I was out of town for all 3 days of last week for medical reasons, and my son wanted to get his PS4 so he could play it at his mom's. This isn't out of the ordinary at all, and he has a key, so he let me know he would be stopping over for it. I told him to have fun when I saw him on the entry camera. My wife's husband was with him, which was a no-no, and I told him via speaker to not go in and to wait on the porch. He flinched, but walked in anyway. I sent my ex a text telling her to call him and tell him he's 1 minute away from a cop call. He left my home, but with a bag in hand which I didn't think much of because my son had his games too. Well, my son texted me later that evening and said he didn't know it at the time, but he's pretty sure the boyfriend took some of my sets. These are all old sets, and the two are worth big money. When I got home, I confirmed the missing sets and called my ex. She had no idea, but he admitted he took them, but it was so son could have the sets to complete his collection. My son doesn't even like Legos anymore, and told his mom he wouldn't steal from me. My wife asked how much it would cost to replace them, and unfortunately it's more than their savings. Actually, it would take their house down payment, plus more. I told them if they didn't pay in 2 weeks, I was suing and pressing charges, and the price of the sets makes it a felony. My ex and her husband are saving for a house, which would give my son more space when he's there. But those sets were going to help pay for his education someday, or a home of his own. I filed a police report and have talked to a lawyer, and we're moving forward with the suit. Everyone is calling me a joke because they are toys, but I don't get it. They are worth real money. I'm not rich, guys. I needed those to help with my son's future. But again, taking this money does deny my son things at his mom's house. Am I the a-hole here? Added to add, the sets have been opened, which more than half their worth, and one was glued together. The damage was done already. The stolen items are King's Castle, Milk Truck, Legoland Train Carousel, and the glued one was a Star Wars Snow Speeder. Some of these are one piece of a larger set, so if you lose one of 5, you lose the value of one product, plus the value of the set as a whole. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Looking at it from just a monetary value, I don't believe your friends would be saying the same if he had stolen X amount of money. He shouldn't have entered your house without permission, and he shouldn't have stolen the sets. He broke the law, so he faces the consequences of his actions. It's about as simple as that. The man is a thief, plain and simple. He committed a felony and needs to face the consequences for his actions. Also, there's no way he didn't go in there for the sole purpose of stealing those sets. Not the a-hole OP. You might also want to consider going for full custody. You don't want your son spending 50% of his time with a felon and someone enabling a felon. Or at least a restraining order against a boyfriend, so he can't enter your property again without consequences. To be fair, entering a property without the owner's permission, or in this case specifically with the owner telling you to get lost, is always going to have consequences. Wait, so someone who you didn't want in your house entered your house and then took something from you? How are you anything but not the a-hole? They are arguing that I'm denying our son a bigger living space while she has him. This is actually true. Well, not by denying it, but it would take all their savings for a house and they'd still fall short. So they're trying to blame the victim. This is an easy fix on their part. Return what they stole and everything goes away. Are they fighting with you about this? They can't return them in the same condition. They were all opened and one was out together, glued. Opening the box takes a lot of the value away, unfortunately. For anyone wondering, the milk truck is worth between $2,000 and $3,000. The King's Castle goes anywhere from $500 to $1,000. The Snow Speeder is around $300 to $500, and the only cheap one is the Legoland Train, and that's if it's the 2016 one, and goes for about $46. My girlfriend Sarah, 29, and I, male 28, have been dating for 5 years, and I wanted to go on a vacation with her to celebrate. I planned a trip for several months, and of course I shared my plans with her. I decided on skiing/snowboarding/other winter activities in Colorado. The activities seemed perfect, and I was looking forward to this for months because I wanted to propose to her at the end of the trip. 5 days before the trip, Sarah dropped the ball on me that she invited 2 of her friends to meet her there. I was upset because I wanted to spend one-on-one time with Sarah for our anniversary. I feel like it was plain and clear that this was a trip for just us. Even though I expressed my concerns, Sarah insisted that her friends already made plans to come and won't back out. I decided to accept this because there was no way for me to force her friends to not come. But I wish I fought more on this. I figured we could make some changes to our plans, and I would still be able to propose to her privately. Sarah essentially blew me off for her friends, and we didn't get any private time. After 3 days of being in second place, I decided to leave the trip and head home. I told Sarah why I was leaving, and she was upset. She told her friends about my decision, and I was ganged up on. They said we were all having a great time. She thinks I'm being a jerk for making her pick between her friends and me, even though her friends weren't invited in the first place. I never had personal issues with her friends prior to this trip. I never made Sarah pick between me or her friends, because everyone needs friend outside of a relationship. I'm at home now and thinking about everything. I have a day to myself before Sarah comes home, so at least I get to relax a bit. Sarah and her friends think I'm overreacting and think I ruined the trip. I think Sarah was disrespectful and rude to me by ruining the purpose of this trip and having her friends gang up on me. Am I the a-hole for leaving a vacation I planned for my girlfriend after her friends came along? Edit. This was a planned anniversary/romantic trip. I was clear that we have plans for just us two. We've been on other anniversary trips together without our friends there. We did discuss marriage beforehand, so it's not like a proposal would have been out of the blue. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You sure you still want to propose? This. Even if it wasn't a proposal trip, it was so disrespectful of Sarah to basically pull the rug out from under him and get her friends to gang up. To do that to someone you've dated for 5 years? Jeez. I would sit her down and go through the plans you had, including the proposal. Watch the Pikachu face, and then tell her you need time apart to reevaluate the relationship. So let me get this straight. 1. You spent months planning a vacation for the two of you. 2. You paid for said vacation. 3. She invited her friends and didn't tell you until it was too late for them to cancel. 4. You made requests for alone time, and she rebuffed those efforts to hang out as a group with her friends. Buddy, she found a ring and knew your plan for the weekend. Not the a-hole. Might want to consider planning for a different future. Info, is it possible she knew you were going to propose and did this intentionally to avoid it? That is what worries me. We discussed marriage beforehand and everything seemed great. This was a planned anniversary/romantic trip, so the nature of it was plain and clear. I hope you're reading all the other posts here. Not a-hole and her inviting others along without telling you until it was too late for them to cancel. Blowing you off on the trip and then ganging up on you is absolutely not the behavior of a life partner. And I 100% guarantee you will live to regret marrying this person, even if you later proposed and she said yes. Sorry this is happening to you, but much better you found out now than after the fact. I've been trying to respond to the comments as best I can. I didn't realize this would blow up this much. Everyone here has given me a lot to think about and her logic of bringing her friends. I'll update in a day or two if I'm up for it. Minor update. My friends are here at the house and they have been running potential interference, just in case her friends try to bombard and harass me. They've been great and I'm so glad to have them. My mom overdosed when I was 4. I was used to her passing out for periods of time, so I just made toast and watched cartoons at first. But on the 3rd day, I got bored and went to play at a playground. Someone became concerned, and next thing you know, they're taking her away and I'm going to stay with some nice people. Well, none of these people were very nice. I could go into details, but let's just say that I was removed from the first few due to abuse. And by the time I was put in a decent home, I wasn't a nice little kid people wanted to adopt anymore. I was too old and an a-hole who hated them, because I knew, in little kid logic, that even though they had red bunk beds and gave me ice cream after dinner, that soon they would be like the rest. I eventually ran away when I was 16. My foster dad got mad at me for going in the fridge without asking, and next thing I know, I'm packing my bags because I figured someone would pay me to do crappy work and wouldn't treat me like trash. I'm 24 now, and my dad friended me on Facebook. We have the same name, and he sent me a long message about how he's gotten older now and thinks I should meet my siblings, etc. I hate him. Maybe I shouldn't, but he left me with a heroin addict and went on about his life. He has a family now? Well, cool. I never had one, not until I grew up and started my own. I honestly think that letting him know I don't want to be his buddy or his son or whatever he thinks he needs would make me feel better. I could stop hating him and resenting him, and load it on him and just move on. I also want to let him know that I lived in an apartment with my dad and mom for 3 days, and we didn't have anyone who cared about us enough to come by. I want to show him the burns I have on my arm. I want to let him know that I hid from one of my foster dads every night under my bed, and prayed to a God I no longer believe in, that he would just leave me alone. I want him to know that I never had real birthdays or Christmases, that I wasn't allowed to go in the fridge in most of these places, and in extreme cases, I wasn't even allowed to leave my room unsupervised. Would this be petty and horrible? Should I just ignore him? Edit. I'm not some celebrity success story, but considering my poor placements and the fact that I ran away from the foster system at high school when I was 16, I think it might roughly qualify for ending up a pretty average guy. I'm 24 and work as an electrician. I have an associate's in it. Who would have guessed I'd go to college? No one. I went to school when I was 19 after I got my GED. I'm married with 2 kids. The oldest is 3 and the youngest is 7 months. And I'm a really good dad, which surprised me because I never had one, but I adore my kids. I would walk on fire for them. I'm happy, and I think that blue-collar, middle-class living suits me. I honestly thought I'd end up in prison or something, but instead I found this life. Now for the top comments before reading the update. No dude, unload on the guy. Give it to him like you just described. He needs to know, and you need to unload. He had 2 decades to come get you, and now that you've grown up, it's too late. You don't need him. You don't need to see him, ever. But it will do you so much good just to tell him what he did to you by leaving. Let go of the hate and resentment, and yell and scream and kick over chairs. Also, freaking good job on getting your life together. You should be super proud of yourself. The odds are he left because she was a witch. She wanted a kid, and he might have never known how bad she got, or that Opie was in foster care. All he knows is up to the point of leaving. He may have no details after he left. By all means, tell him everything since he did make contact, but the Opie isn't going to gain much. Maybe he will apologize for not knowing, but he cannot apologize for what the mom did. I don't think it would be good for either one to have a relationship at this point. They called him to see if he had any interest when my mom died. He didn't, and neither did any of his family. He then signed away any rights he had. And what did my mom do? Yeah, she OD'd, but she tried. She fed and clothed me and loved me. She was addicted to a drug and it was a horrible thing, but she loved her son. He walked away, and 22 years later decided to see how life treated me. As a foster mom, first I want to say I'm sorry. I hate hearing that kids get placed in situations just as crappy, and sometimes far worse, than where they are removed from when they should be placed someplace better. Foster care is supposed to provide a place for kids to feel safe and loved, sometimes for the first time ever, and allow for parents to hopefully get their act together so the kids can go home. And if they cannot, well, then they are supposed to provide the kids an opportunity to be adopted. As for telling your father what happened to you and how you grew up, think about it first. Are you wanting to tell him so you can unload and feel better? Are you wanting to tell him because you hope it will make him feel bad? Maybe get an apology? If it's the first reason, I say go for it. You need to do what makes you feel better. And if unloading and maybe even telling him off, he could have found you sooner, especially if he straightened his butt out years ago. He could have. If you're looking to make him feel guilty or get an apology, be prepared for him to not do either. I am not saying he won't, but it's a possibility, and you may feel worse in the long run. That is not what you need, want, nor deserve. Just be careful is all I'm saying, and if you need to talk, PM me. I know there are good places. I stayed in contact with my social worker, and she cried when we met up once, and said that I was her worst case because I was such a sweet adoptable little boy, that I got the worst of the lot. And by the time she found a good placement, I was too scared for it to be a good place. Thanks for being a good foster mom.